Well, hello, boys and girls. It is Monday. We're getting ready to read some more. Do you remember what happened on Friday? They took out the house with the bulldozer. It was accidentally, but they did take out the house. So let's see what happens, because remember the last thing Lungwort screamed in a bellowing, hacking voice, that machine was driven by a porcupine. Okay. Chapter 33, Introductions. When the bulldozer finally came to a stop, Erath gave a woozy shake of his head. I don't know what to say, he murmured. Junior, Mephitis, and he stared out from the cab. The broken bits that had once been Gray House lay in a colossal heap before them. From it, a curl of dust rose like a twist of frayed ribbon. Wow, muttered Junior. That was freaking nasty. Awesome, agreed Mephitis, trying not to look at Junior. Did you hear that machine belch? Ultimate wicked, said Junior, but he quickly turned to Erath. Uncle Erath, he said. Erath shook his head. What? Please don't tell my mama. Junior and Mephitis finally looked at each other. When they did, they started to laugh and could not stop. Mephitis laughed so hard he fell down, rolled over, struck his stumpy legs into the air, and churned them as if he were galloping. Junior, shrieking, was that bad, or was that really bad? Leaned his head against the cab wall, held his stomach with one paw, and wiped away tears with the other. Then he reached towards the skunk and cried, Dude, that was the baddest thing in the whole wide universe. Mephitis slapped Junior's paw with a resounding smack. He was so excited he jumped onto the engine, cowling, turned upside down on his front paws, and sent a cloud of stink over the bulldozer. Frosting on the cake, shrieked Junior. Frosting on the cake. He was shaking so hard with laughter, he fell down backward. No one is going to believe this, said Mephitis as he crawled back into the cab. No one. He and his buddy slapped paws anew. Stop that, screamed Erath. Don't you realize what's happened? We've blown the house down. Sputtered Junior through his laughter. Demolished it completely, said Mephitis, struggling to keep from laughing and failing. I mean, there's nothing left. Nothing, cried Junior. Let's just hope no one was inside, said Erath. Oh my gosh, said Junior, laughing no more. Do you think there might be? Could be, but that would be awful, said an equally sober Mephitis. Next moment, a voice called to them from below. Erath? Junior? Mephitis? What have you done with this horrid machine? They looked down. It was Poppy. She was standing by the bulldozer's side and looking up. Oh my. Done? Said Erath. What do you think, Fly Fidget? I was trying to stop it. Trying to stop it, cried Poppy. Do you understand what you've done? Me? Said Erith. What makes you think it had anything to do with me? You are the responsible adult. I am? Of course you are. Erith looked at Junior. Junior looked at him. The young mouse was clenching his teeth tightly to keep from breaking into laughter again. Mephitis turned away. Erith, cried Poppy, can't you see that you completely destroyed Gray House? Hey, Mama, Junior managed to say. I thought it was going to happen anyway. But not by you, cried Poppy. Erithazon dorsatum, why are you even here? Guess why, Fudge Whiskers? To protect you. To keep from laughing, Junior had to stuff a paw into his mouth. Exasperated to the point of speechlessness, Poppy turned away and scanned the wreckage. Atop the pile, she spied her old log cabin syrup can, badly dented. Unbelievable, she whispered, as much to herself as anyone. Unbelievable. Miss Poppy, muttered Mephitis. What? I'm sorry. Sorry? Poppy managed to say. Come on, Mama, said Junior, coming to his friend's defense. You said you wanted to be cool, didn't you? You don't think we meant to do it, do you? By the time the other mice, still in shock, but sensing that the danger from the machine had passed, had begun to gather around both the wreckage and the bulldozer. They stared at it in silence. That's a ridiculous, irresponsible response, said Poppy, gazing at the wreckage. A disaster. Totally, 100% unacceptable. She wrinkled her nose. And what's that stench? She demanded. Mephitis got a little excited, said Junior, giggling. Excited? Sorry, murmured Mephitis a second time, while making sure he did not look at Junior. How did you even get that machine to move? Poppy demanded. Uncle Erith, said Junior, fell onto a lever, just as I was turning the key. It began to move on its own. Erith, said Poppy, is that true? Are you the one to blame for this? Actually, murmured Erith in such a low voice that Poppy was not certain she heard right. Actually, it was the salt's fault. Chapter 34, The Wreckage. Confident that at last the bulldozer had truly halted, some of the mice began to approach the wreckage of the house, poking and prodding it. Others continued to stare at the bulldozer. A few gazed nervously up at Erith and Mephitis. Last to arrive was the slow-moving lungwort, still supported by Lily and sweet Cecilia. There, cried the old mouse as he came through the crowd of onlookers. Didn't I tell you porcupines were the most dangerous creatures on earth? Who's that? Erith demanded of Poppy, lifting his head. Poppy sighed. It's my father, Lungwort. Papa, I'd like you to meet Erith, my friend. Friend, sputtered Lungwort. This so-called friend of yours was driving that machine. He's the one responsible for smashing down our dearly loved house. Poppy took a deep breath, offered a reproachful look at Edith, and said, "I'm afraid so." "Grandpa," said Junior. "What?" "It wasn't Edith. It was me. I did it." "Impossible. How could you?" "I turned the key. Really, it was my fault." "Please," said Poppy, "all three of you, come down here. I'm afraid we need to make some introductions and explanations." Edith, Mephitis, and Junior reluctantly climbed down from the bulldozer. The mice gathered around, staring. Mephitis and Junior, side by side, kept bumping each other, suppressing giggles. An embarrassed Edith scowled, his tail twitching. "Edith, I should like you to meet my parents," began Poppy. "Papa, Mama, this is Edith. This is Junior's friend Mephitis." "Keep that porcupine away from me," cried Lungwort, backing away. "Porcupines are a menace, a danger, a threat to the peace. And he stinks. Away with him." "Cardboard crocodiles," Edith said, turning to Poppy with a look of exasperation. "Uncle Edith," said Junior, "I don't think he likes you." "Well, I don't like him either. He's just a toilet bowl of nose drip." "And who are you?" shouted an enraged Lungwort. You bumbling beast of destruction. "See here, you," Edith began to reply. "Edith," shouted Poppy with all her breath, "for once, be quiet." "Mice cavorting with porcupines and skunks," cried Lungwort. "The world's gone insane. I want nothing to do with it. Poppy, if this is the way you would lead the family, I clearly have made a grave mistake. Is there no one who understands me?" he cried. Lily held out a paw. "Papa, would you like a pine seed?" Lungwort stared at her and blinked. "Lily," he cried, "it's perfectly clear. You should be the head of the family." With a snort, Lungwort pulled off his thimble cap and brought it down on Lily's head. Then, muttering under his breath, he marched haltingly away, sweet Cecily and Lily by his side. Lily, reaching up to touch the cap, tried to suppress a smile, but could not. Even as she did, a mouse in the yard called out, "Look, a human has arrived." All the animals turned their attention to Tar Road. Sure enough, a pickup truck had driven up and stopped. The next moment, a man stepped out. Chapter 35, A Discovery. The man who got out of the truck was the same one, tan overalls and large stomach, who had come before. Now he stood by the side of the truck and looked about where the bulldozer had been. Puzzled by what he was not seeing, he pulled at the peak of his cap a couple of times. Then he spied the collapsed house and the bulldozer. He stared, puzzlement deepening. With another tug on his cap, he moved cautiously toward the wreckage. The mice scattered. As for Erith and Mephitis, they ran behind the wreckage and crouched down. Poppy and Junior were with them. "I don't know how I'm even going to forgive you for this," Poppy whispered. "Freckled Porkfeather," said Erith, "who are you talking to? Each and every one of you." Oops, can't get my page turned. "But, Erith, for once keep still." Junior belched. Mephitis giggled. Poppy looked at them severely. Up by the road, the man moved slowly, as if unsure what he was seeing. A few times he paused and looked around. When he came to the place where Gray House had stood, he gazed at the stone foundation. After a moment, he continued on toward the bulldozer and the wreck of the house. Drawing near, he considered the mess. Then suddenly, turning away, covering his nose with his hands, a grinning Junior turned to Mephitis and whispered, "You got him, dude." "Shh," said Poppy. The man, one hand holding his nose, climbed into the bulldozer and turned the key. There was a grinding, clacking noise, but the motor did not start. Baffled, the man pocketed the key and hurried back towards his truck. Looking over his shoulder once, then twice, his brow deeply furrowed. "Where's he going?" said Junior as they stepped out from their hiding place to watch him. "Let's hope it's to his own home," said Poppy. Just as the man approached the truck, Laurel and Pine, with a troop of their young friends, appeared. Every one of them had red fur. Unaware of what had happened at Gray House, they had gone to where the bulldozer had been. Arriving at his truck, the man turned to take one last look back. As he saw the red mice, he halted and gasped. When the mice began to belch, he jumped into the truck and raced away. It was Junior who said, "Cool, I think those red mice scared him." "Hello, everyone," the mice all turned. Atop the pile of rubble stood Basil. "This place has 1,000,000 rooms now," he cried. "Everyone can have a little space and privacy." There was a general squeal of delight as all of the mice raced for the wreck and began to explore. Chapter 36, Farewells. A few hours later, deep within the mass of rubble that had once been Gray House, in the space Lily had found for Lungwort and Sweet Cecily, Poppy and Junior said their farewells. Lily, the thimble cap on her head, was there too. "I need to say goodbye, Papa," said Poppy. Muttered Lungwort. "Papa," said Lily, "it really worked out well. There's room, private room for everyone. It's so much better for the family. We can stay together without being on top of one another." "Porcupines," Lungwort said under his breath. "Porcupines." Sweet Cecily gave a hug to Junior and then one to Poppy. "It was good to see you," she said. "Do you think you might come again soon?" Poppy, wondering it was a question or a warning, simply said, "We'll see." Lily walked them out beyond the wreckage. "Poppy," she said, "thank you." "For what?" "Being you." They exchanged another hug. This time they meant it. Wow, that is an interesting way for the book to be coming to an end. All the mice agreed that having the house tore down was kind of better for everybody. They had more space in their own private little rooms so that they weren't all just in one big room. So everybody seems happy except for Papa. And he doesn't like change unless it was his idea. But this particular time, it wasn't his idea, and he's just going to have to live with it. So we will be finishing this book tomorrow, and we'll see what happens as Poppy heads back home.